Let us talk this morning to Kate Hardcastle, who's a retail and consumer expert. Morning, Kate. Thanks for coming on the programme.
You're okay.
Your reaction to what you just heard?
Well, obviously, it's something I was aware of yesterday. I've been talking about the coronavirus and its impact on business for months now. And most recently, a lot of it has been about panic buying and the fact that panic buying does lead to situations as the one we've just heard. That's the real truth of it. What causes panic buying? Concern. Concern from people unable to try and get some kind of control on their lives, feeling very worried and feeling that if they go back to this very basic means of trying to protect them and their families and stock up and feel like they've got some control over it, that they might actually feel better by it. But it doesn't make you feel better. It just creates this type of problem for nurses who we're utterly dependent on for our care. So we've got to have more initiatives from the supermarkets, from us as the general public, and perhaps from the government as well, to create the reassurance to stop the panic. But the more we share shelves and images of pictures of empty shelves, etc., and the more we don't signpost people to where the stock is, then we are going to have people who are frightened and worried.
It's horrible, isn't it? But it's the reality of it. That's what we're finding. You know, Dawn's story, I'm sure, is not unusual. We've had texts from people the supermarkets have been doing a small amount, haven't they? They've been doing these hour-long things where they open an hour for vulnerable people and for elderly people. And we had somebody call in the programme yesterday and say, it's a nightmare. They went. It was absolutely rammed. There was nothing on the shelves. So is it enough, Kate?
So I'm not going to finger point at any one area of community, but I am going to say some things that would really help. If you feel tempted to share any of those images, don't. I suggested yesterday that we should more share images where there has been stock and normally in independent small businesses. Now, I don't want you to reveal the name of those independent small businesses, but I want you to reassure people that there is product in the supply chain. That happens because all organisations, but particularly the big ones, have some form of contingency planning. And we're seeing that contingency planning come into effect with tiered strategy. The first being limited quantities of being able to buy things. Secondly, it will be reducing down the amount of brands that we have and the choice that we have. And then what we might start to see is actually boxed, ready-to-go boxes for families where we don't really have much choice in the product that's in there, but it will be enough to keep a family going. I think we need to see the supermarkets working together even more. Now, there are some measures in place to try and remove boundaries to that. But me and my very small organisation have been trying to watch the online delivery dates because they've moved out and out and out. You're now 3-4 weeks before you can get that. And if the supermarkets collaborated together and put the information of where you could get the next available online delivery slot, particularly for the vulnerable, the self-isolating, the distancing, that would help indeed, using click and collect services and expanding those. And certainly seeing maybe the restaurants that have been challenged with closures recently, maybe try and repurpose some of their stock to create food parcels for those most in need. There's lots we can do. I want to be a calming voice in all this. I don't want to just create some kind of soundbite for people to worry by. We can all work together on this, but it's going to need every single part of society to make sure that we don't have these queues of 300 people at a supermarket and then people sharing that then which exacerbates the problem.
Kate, I know you're very busy and very in demand at the moment. Thank you for coming on the programme. Kate Hardcastle is a retail and consumer expert.